Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to an early dinner, late lunch. I don't know what to call it. All I do know is I got a fine freaking turkey burger right here on some sourdough. And we are diving in to the story that I hate talking about, but especially with the times right now, it is the main root of a lot of my anxiety. I'm literally already shaking. That might be because I have not really eaten much. I'm actually starving, so I'm just gonna start off by just taking a big old bite. Wow. Amazing. Anyways, okay, so my heart is racing. All right, this is my pulmonary embolism story. And I just want to preface with, like, this will not most certainly 100% happen to you if you have birth, or if you're on birth control as a woman. This is not going to 100% happen if you travel a lot. Like, these are just some of the causes of my own personal pulmonary embolism. If you don't know what a pulmonary embolism is blood clots in the lungs. And what it does is there's a blood clot that forms somewhere in your body. For me, it formed in my right leg, and I had no idea. When a blood clot gets big enough, it can't stay in its space, it spreads. And the lungs is the part of the body in which, when blood clots do get in there, it can kill you. And I was minutes away from dying because of this. So what happens after that? It goes into your lungs. The blood clots just fill your lungs, makes it harder to breathe, makes your heart have to work harder, and in turn your lungs have to work harder just to get oxygen. I was feeling like I was going to pass out, I should say. I never did pass out. If I had passed out, that probably would have gotten me in sooner, and I wouldn't have been minutes away from death. I would have been like months away from death. But the thing is that I tried. I tried to get help. I tried to see doctors, and I was told I was fine. So here's what happened. In the fall of 2017, I studied abroad in Italy. That is super weird that the lights are doing this, because this only happens at my parents' house. And if you're like spiritual or whatever, it's like one of the signs that like one of like my family members that have passed is here. So this is very weird. It's protection, it's guidance, because this is a hard topic. Holy fudge, booty balls. I studied abroad in Italy with my best friend Ella. We were juniors in college at Southern New Hampshire University, and we went out just before our 20th birthdays. We traveled through like 9 different countries, like over 100 cities. We made some distance while we were out there. We were on, and meanwhile, I also should should say that I went on birth control when I went to college in 2015, just the pill. I don't remember which one it was, but I did it because I was afraid of like date rape, and I was afraid of being sexually assaulted, and I was just really afraid of the like things that would happen when I consumed alcohol or if I tried drugs. Like I was just very I wanted to protect myself. I didn't want to like just go around and have sex with everybody. I just wanted to know that I was protected, and that was a way that back then I thought I would be protected. And so I was on birth control for 2 years at the time, just about 2 years when I went to Italy, and I was fairly good at taking it. I didn't really miss much, and so with all the traveling that we did, there is like studies and statistics that do show like excessive travel and sitting down for long periods of time on planes, buses, trains, etc. Like it is possible for blood clots to form in your leg. And so I was traveling 10, 12, 14 hours on buses. And I felt fine. Like I was fine. There was nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong. There was no reason for me to believe that anything was wrong. When I was there, I got acceptance to go to the Dominican Republic again for the second year in a row to volunteer on a mission trip and teach English to Spanish-speaking kids. And I went down there for a week. When we got back, it was over spring break. So I spent my entire spring break there. While I was there, I got a cut on the bottom of my foot. And when I got home, I was really sick. Like I was very sick. I thought I had tonsillitis. I thought I had pneumonia. I thought I had something crazy. And so, put into context, this is roughly March of 2018. And I went to urgent care because I was so sick, and in March of 2018, and basically told me that because I had a cut on the bottom of my foot that I had a virus, and he gave me medication for like diarrhea. I didn't have diarrhea. I went in for my throat and my head and my chest. Visit number 1. That was when there was already blood clot in my leg, and in the summer of 2018, it was the first summer that I actually stayed on campus. I was working 2 jobs, working at Aroma Joe's, which is a coffee shop, and I was working at Merrimack County Savings Bank. I went to Vermont for the 4th of July that summer, and to see my family and to spend it with my family and everything. And I remember, like, I didn't feel like the best, but I was just really happy to see my family. And when I got back, that's when things kind of did start to progress. So I started at the bank at the end of July of 2018, and through all of that, like I had started kickboxing at a Muay Thai gym in Hooksett, New Hampshire. It's just like a little private owned like family business, and I remember feeling so strong and on top of the world, and then all of a sudden one day I couldn't even go for like more than 5 minutes, which seemed just really weird and off to me. I mean, I was bigger, like I was pushing 200 pounds, if not a little bit over 200 at the time, so like things were hard. I mean, I'm like 165, 168 right now, and like I definitely had a harder time. Anyways, I need to remember to breathe. I had gone to urgent care in the middle of July because I was feeling like I was going to pass out whenever I would work out. And whenever I was at work, I would walk like from here to the wall behind me, which not even like here to, okay, there's a fireplace behind the camera. And it's honestly probably about like 8 feet, maybe 8 feet. And I would literally walk a distance like that and feel like I was gonna pass out. Like feel like I couldn't catch my breath. And it was just so weird. And so I ended up going to urgent care, and they did nebulizers and a chest x-ray, and they're like, you just have athletic induced asthma. And I was like, okay. Asthma, I was like, well, I mean, my Nana has asthma. There are some people in my family that do have asthma, like smokers, things like that. I was like, maybe, like, okay, I guess. So they gave me an inhaler, and they told me just use it whenever you feel like shortness of breath or it's hard to breathe, anything like that. And so I was like, cool. I was using this all the time. Like, this one little tiny inhaler, I'd never used an inhaler ever in my life. Ooh, nice, excuse me. I had never used an inhaler in my life. I was using it about 8 to 12 times a day just to like exist almost. And when I look at pictures, I do start to see like my face change, my body change a little bit in a weird way. Like gaining weight, but like losing weight at the same time. Like I had actually, like the day before I was admitted to the hospital, I fit into a size 8 for the first time. And I was super excited about that. But that's kind of forward. But so I accepted that they were like, athletic induced asthma, cool. Yeah, love it. Not. And I wasn't getting better. I was actually getting worse. And so it was the beginning of August. I waited a few weeks, and I was just like, okay, it's the beginning of August. I've waited. I need to go back. I told my mom, I was like, I'm going back to the urgent care. So I went to urgent care, and they were like, you don't have athletic induced asthma. They're like, let's do some nebulizers. I did like 4 nebulizers, and I still didn't like feel any better. They did another chest x-ray, and they're like, we don't see anything wrong. And so I was like, ugh. Like I didn't know what was wrong, but I just deep down I knew that something was wrong. And that is truly when I started to believe in my gut. And that was like the beginning of like why I follow my intuition, why I follow my gut, because I knew something was wrong and no one was believing me. And so I waited about 2-3 more weeks. I had to stop working out altogether because I just wasn't well. I was going through just like a lot of really rough things in my personal life, like with boys and drama and drinking and drugs. And just like, there was just like, never did any, like, I just smoke a lot of weed. Like I smoked a lot of weed in college. It's the one thing that actually helps my anxiety and my depression. There was just a lot going on, and I was getting ready for senior year. I was studying for the LSAT. I was in a lot of law classes. And it was almost like God was kind of telling me like, this isn't the right path, like law and just like criminal justice. Like, it's just maybe like, I want you to have that career, but I don't want you to pursue certain things. But I was going so far against it. And so I kept studying. I was taking practice tests. I spent almost $1,000 just for this freaking test. And I didn't even apply to law school. It was about a week before everything happened. And it was a week before my birthday, the weekend before, or 2 weekends before. And I was up in Vermont. I was sergeant at arms for Kappa Chi, the sorority I was in. And so that meant I was like sister bonding, but like chair, but also like standards and things like that, and like consequences. Like I was basically the police, and the like team captain. I don't know, like Spirit Week. Anyways, so I had a bunch of the girls. I think there was like 12, 15 girls, maybe even 20. I think it was like 12 or 15 that ended up coming up to my parents' house in Vermont, and we had a huge like slumber party. Essentially, we just did a lot of sister bonding, team building activities. And the day before that, I had actually gone, because I was up there a few days earlier, and I went to my doctor. my primary care physician, and because it was like my last appointment before I stopped seeing her, because I was about to turn 21, and I was like, hey, so this is what's going on. I don't know what's going on, but I just know something's not right. And she goes, there's no way that you have asthma. There's no way that there's something wrong. She was like, she wrote up the scan. She was like, if there's something wrong, like, you would want a CT scan. She was like, here's a paper for like x-rays and CTs again. And so I was like, cool, thanks. Like, just like, can you help me out here? Not like, if you feel necessary, here's a paper, you can go, and like, here's the ticket. And I just felt very unsure, but I felt so sick. Like, I just felt not myself. And it was just about a week later, we had like just moved into our apartment. Kate and I moved into our apartment, our new apartment, and that we were gonna be in for the year, and Ella was moving in, and I forget who else lived with us. It was a Sunday morning. It was August 26th. It was August 26th, 2018. I woke up that morning and I had a hamster, and I felt just like things were off. Like, nothing really made sense to me that day. Time didn't make sense. Just, I felt like I was in a bubble, like in a cloud, honestly. And I went for a drive. I think I like went to like smoke a joint or something like that, get coffee. And I was like, it was literally like 8:39 a.m. There's nothing but coffee shops, Walmart, and like, that's it, that's open. And so I tried to go to the pet store, and I realized that they didn't open until like 10:30 or 11. And I was like, well, crap, like, what am I gonna do? So I went home, and I decided, I was like, I'm just gonna do some yoga. 9:30 in the morning, I'm doing yoga. Pretty normal. I was doing yoga like about once a week or a little bit more, just keep my body stretched, keep my body moving. And it was honestly the only type of exercise aside from like walking that I could really do. Went to do a downward dog, and I coughed up something. And I was like, what's this? And it wasn't like just like spit, you know? Like, sometimes you're like, ugh, spit, just gotta like swallow it or hack a loogie. Nah. For some reason, I went to the bathroom, turned the light on, and spit in the sink. It was blood. And, yeah, I thought it was nothing. I was concerned, but I was like, whatevs. I could not continue my yoga flow because I was constantly coughing. It felt raw, and I was just spitting up blood. And it was what's called sputum, so it's a mixture of saliva and blood. And so it just looked like orange red crap. Delta, do not. So I ended up going to the store. Every time I would cough, I would just swallow it, therefore making everything that much worse. Delta, stop. There's nothing. Just wind and people walking by on the outside, I promise. That's all that it is, I promise. Well, I went to the pet store. I got my hamster at the time a new cage. This thing was a palace. Like, he deserved luxury, right? So I got home, still coughing up blood. I text my mom. I say, hey mom, I think I'm like coughing up blood, my throat's really dry, like, do you have any idea? She goes, it might just be like post-nasal drip or something like that. She's like, I'm very prone, like I still have my tonsils, I'm very prone to strep, tonsillitis, everything like that, especially at the end of August, beginning of September, when the weather slowly starts to really fluctuate more. And so I was like, okay, like honestly, that really does make sense. So I just kind of blew it off. Meanwhile, I'm just like continuing to run to the bathroom, spit in the sink of blood, and in pain as well. And I FaceTimed my friend Kylie at the time, and I was talking to her, and I was asking her mom too, and she's like, Kelsey, you should probably go to like the hospital, or like you should go and get it checked out. And I was like, oh well, like my mom said, like if I'm, and I agreed, like if I'm don't feel better tomorrow, like I'll just go tomorrow. And of course I was turning 21 in like 3 days, so like I didn't want to go to the hospital. I didn't want something to be wrong. I wanted to live up my 21st birthday, because that's when, like, I don't know, that it was just, it's a big year. Kate and our friend Meredith had come over, and there's this place called Los Garcias, and they had really bomb freaking food, like prime time, and they were both 21, so they could drink. And so I was like, yeah, like they wanted to go, and so we went there. I was like, yeah, let's go. And I was totally fine. I was drinking my iced tea. I did kind of feel faint. My chest felt heavy. I felt like my heart was racing. But I didn't really think much of it. I didn't have an Apple Watch at the time, so I couldn't be like, heart rate, what are you? And I also didn't know to really pay attention to my heart rate, the way that my heart felt. And so I was at lunch. I was fine. We ate like chips and salsa. I was eating lots of chips and salsa. I think I had like cereal or something. I know I had breakfast. But our food came out. I got a flatbread, and I took one bite, and I almost threw up. Like the second that I started to smell, I instantly got nauseous. My appetite was gone. I barely could even sip my tea. And I kind of just like hunched down. And after about 20-ish minutes of just sitting there and watching them eat, I was like, hey guys, like I hate to like do this, but like can we go? Like I just don't really feel well. Can we go? So we took pictures beforehand, because there's a picture from that day with Meredith on my Facebook. But I remember we went home, and I laid on the couch, and I grabbed a plastic cup from the kitchen first, so I could spit in it. And I grabbed my little notebook that I was studying for the LSAT in, and Kate and Meredith were like, hey, we're gonna go for a drive, and I was like, cool, sounds great. I wanted someone to leave. I wanted them to leave so bad, and I wanted to be by myself, because I was in so much pain, and pain that I didn't understand, and pain that people had been telling me wasn't real. And so I was just in a fetal position, like sobbing and spitting up blood every 2 seconds, constantly coughing, just like heart, literally feeling like it was gonna just like explode. Like I literally felt like my heart was gonna just burst out my chest, and it was so hot, like I couldn't just like like get such a good breath of fresh air. It felt like I could, like there was no room at all for me to breathe. I felt like I was kind of suffocating. They got back, it had been like maybe 15-20 minutes, and at this time of day it was about 7 o'clock at night. So I had been going like about 10 hours, 9.5, 10 hours of coughing up blood, the spit up, feeling like my heart was gonna burst out of my chest, not being able to really breathe, and I had lost my appetite. And so I was laying there, and I was just sobbing, and Kate was like, are you okay? And I was like, no, I don't know what's wrong. I was like, I feel like my heart's gonna explode. I can't breathe. I'm coughing up blood. Like, I don't know what's going on. And she goes, Kelsey, we gotta go now. There was one urgent care open, and they closed within like 15 minutes. So we went. I walked in because she drove me. I walked in with my cup, and they go, hey, how can I help you? Welcome. And I was like, hi, my heart's racing and I'm coughing up blood and I can't breathe. And I've never seen people move so fast, because they thought I was either having a heart attack. I remember like them being like, okay, we're gonna take you right in this room. And they sat me in there. They didn't take my ID. They didn't give me a bracelet. They didn't do anything. They just brought me into a room and they put things on my chest to test for an EKG, or to do an EKG, to make sure I wasn't having a heart attack. And the doctor, who he literally followed up, like he made sure I was okay. Like he stuck with me. Like he knew something was wrong. And so he goes, Miss Haskins, you're not having a heart attack, which is great. He goes, but I think you might be having some type of embolism. We need to rush you to the ER now. Okay. Like, I was still in shock. Like, at that time too, I was not an emotional person. Like, I'm way more vulnerable and emotional now because I had so many walls built up, and so it didn't really seem real at the time. It just seemed kind of like something was going on, and I had been told nothing was wrong for so long, and now something was wrong. And so they load me in the ambulance. And of course, I can still walk and everything, so I get on the stretcher. They get me in the ambulance, and I've got an IV here, and I've got an IV here. No, I have an IV here, and I had an IV here. And yeah, I remember that. I remember there were no sirens either. Like, there was no one on the road. There was no need for us. We were going, like, the little, like, honestly, like, if you've been to Utah, there's like what we call the belt route. And so it was kind of like that, kind of like a belt route situation, like access, I don't know, like, yeah, expressway, accessway, I don't know. It was like there was no one on the road, so it was like 55 like speed limit. It felt like we were flying. We got to the hospital, and and they rushed me right into CT. Like, I was in a room for like 30 seconds. They rushed me into CT, and they were like, so we're gonna do something with contrast, and it's gonna be warm, and it's gonna make you feel like you're peeing, but I promise you're not peeing. And I was like, okay, cool. And we were in CT for less than 5 minutes. We were back in the room, and at that point, like everything set in. Like, physically, I spiked a fever of like 101, 102. I was coughing more, and a lot more was coming up. I was like, I was filling bags full of spit. Meanwhile, my parents are 2.5, 3 hours away, and in Vermont. And so I'm in New Hampshire. And, he came in, and he was like, a doctor comes in and he goes, Miss Haskins, you're having a pulmonary embolism, and your lungs are 2/3 full of blood clots, and you have pneumonia suppressed on top of the blood clots, leaving no room for you to breathe. And so it's making it very hard for your heart to pump, and all of your blood is really just pooling in your heart right now. And they're like, you need to call your parents. And I was like, it's fine, they're like really far away. And he was like, no, Kelsey, you need to call your parents. And I was like, I can't talk to them. So like someone's got to call. So I gave Kate my mom's phone number, or the house phone. And meanwhile, okay, this is like 8:30, 8:45 at night. And my parents talked to the doctor, and next thing I knew, I was up in the ICU on high flow oxygen, the highest dose of morphine, and I was in excruciating pain. Like, when I say excruciating pain, I have never been in a fetal position wanting to die more in my life than that moment. My parents got to the hospital around 11:30 that night, and we didn't know what the frick was going on. We just knew that I wasn't okay. And people die from this kind of thing, and I was only 20. And at that point in my life, I literally thought, I was like, I haven't been able to do anything. Like, I haven't lived. I haven't done what I want. But all I want right now is to die. Like, I don't want to live at all. Like, I don't want to survive this. I don't want to wake up. And I couldn't sleep that night. I didn't sleep. I was just in pain. My parents went to like sleep in the lobby or something, and it was 6 a.m. on Monday, the 27th of August, 2018. And I remember just like, Mom, like, I'm supposed to be at work in 3 hours. Like, we need to call my boss. We need to tell her what's going on. I'm not going to be able to make it, but I'll be there tomorrow. That's how I was. I need to make sure that I'm at work tomorrow. The nurses came in, the doctor came in, and he goes, Kelsey, there's really nothing that we can do for you right now. He goes, if you are nauseous, you need to let us know. If you don't feel good, you need to let us know, and we can let your body rest. And I literally felt zero control over my body, over my words, over my mind. I had no control. I just said, I'm not okay. I don't feel well. It's not good. And they took my parents outside, and they walked back in, and he goes, Kelsey, we're gonna put you to sleep. He goes, we're gonna put you in a coma, and it's just gonna be like you're taking a nap. Meanwhile, I didn't know that if I was even gonna wake up from this nap. He goes, I just want the nurse, they put me down, and I'm like, I'm nauseous. And she goes, just count down from 5. I remember saying 3, and everything was black. It was empty. There was absolutely nothing. And I remember, like, my eyes opening and me going like this. Like, put me back. Like, don't let me wake up from this. I didn't know if I was going to wake up in the afterlife. I didn't know if I was going to wake up in my own life. I still to this day do not know if I'm actually freaking alive. Like, is that weird? Like, everything feels like a dream. Like, a part of me thinks that I actually died. And this is, I don't know. All I do know is while I was sleeping, I was put into a helicopter, and I was flown from New Hampshire to Massachusetts to a cardiac hospital. And I woke up in an ICU without my parents, not the same place I fell asleep in, and the sweetest freaking nurse. And I had a catheter, and I had a balloon in my chest. Like, I was it was 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, the day before my birthday. And I had been in a coma for 12, 18, 20 hours. Wait, 24 plus 32 hours. I was in a coma for 32 hours. And it was about like 45 minutes, and they were able to take the tube out of the balloon out. They took my catheter out. At the time, not only was I taking my birth control, but I was taking a medication because I'm allergic to red meat. And so I took that medication to basically allow me to eat meat without getting sick. And the first thing I said when I woke up was I want mashed potatoes and I need to study for the LSAT. I was a week and a half out from taking the LSAT, and exactly 1 week from starting my senior year of college, and I had just gotten out of a coma. And they were like, so your levels are low, like, I don't know what type, like, I don't know. I do not know, but something was lower than it should have been. And so they were trying to figure out what was wrong, because I was on a heparin drip, and I was going through heparin like crazy. And come to find out, when I was in the helicopter being transported, they shut off my heparin drip. And so I was getting worse. And when I got back to the hospital, they like started it again, but I wasn't where I should have been. So they were like, tonight you're gonna have to have a blood transfusion, and hopefully that will help, and if not, then we will have to do surgery to remove the clots. And I was like, sounds good. I still hadn't cried. I still was just like, whatever you need. Like, I was bubbly, I was happy, I was just like funny, trying to make the best out of the situation. And all the nurses kept saying, I don't get how you're being like this. This is pretty life like changing and traumatic, and you're fine. And I was like, you're fine, like in the head. And I was like, I'm totally fine. Meanwhile, today, like July, whatever, 18th, 19th, I don't even know what day it is today, of 2022, and this is probably the 5th time I've ever talked about it since 2018. Yeah, that night, it was about 11:45 that night, and I had, the night nurse came in because they had to do it after like a switch or whatever, and they did a blood transfusion. And when that was over, it was my birthday, and I was 21 in a hospital bed on high flow oxygen, just finishing with a blood transfusion. By myself. They told my parents to go to the hotel, get some rest, and to come back in the morning. So I didn't sleep all night. But the nurses, and when I was moving out of my parents' house a few weeks back when we were just in Vermont, I found one of the gloves. I kept one of the gloves that they made. They blew up their latex gloves, and they wrote happy birthday, 21, happy B-Day, all these things, and they brought me a cupcake and cranberry juice that said wine on the styrofoam cup to make me feel better. Cheers to cranberry juice. Full freaking circle. I had my blood transfusion. The blood transfusion ended up working. And that was Wednesday. Thursday night, I was studying for LSAT. And meanwhile, when I woke up Tuesday from my coma, I looked like a junkie that got into a fight. I was covered in bruises on my knuckles, on my arms, everywhere. I was covered in bruises. And on top of that, my hair had been in a bun, and so my hair was just like stuck to my head. So Thursday, I studied for the LSAT. I was feeling better. I was sitting in chairs. I was moving. I was walking. I was doing okay. That night around 2 a.m., they moved me to my own room out of the ICU. So I was in the ICU for like 4 days. And then Friday morning around 10, 11 that morning, I was discharged. And the doctor then told me I really needed to just change my life. And that he basically gave me a food lesson. Yeah, so then that struck in that I wasn't healthy and I wasn't doing all these things, and it just led to a whole other form of anxiety. And I had then gone home to Vermont with my parents, and they watched me and monitored me for 48 hours, and then they brought me back to school, and I started college. And then the next weekend I took the LSAT and have just been boom, boom, boom. I was put on blood thinners. I was put on 20 milligrams or 15 milligrams twice a day, morning and night, with a meal. And then after 30 days, I went to 20 milligrams once a day with a meal for 3 months. So I've been off of blood thinners since like January or February of 2019, I think. The thing that has caused the most anxiety out of this whole situation was the fact that it was Wednesday, August 29th, 2018, the day of my 21st birthday. And my doctor came in and she goes, "Do you ever plan on having kids?" And I was like, I don't know. Like, at that point in my life, it's funny to say at that point in my life when it was literally like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, it'll be 4 years ago this year. Yeah. Next month it'll be 4 years. And like, I had always thought I'm just gonna be this strong, independent woman. I'm going to, like, my life comes first. I come first. I never envisioned having a family. I never envisioned having kids. I never envisioned a life bigger for myself, because I never thought I was worthy enough for that. And I never thought that those opportunities existed for me. I thought it just existed for, to be frank, like, I didn't think I was gonna be alive right now. Like, I didn't think that I was gonna be alive long enough. I didn't know that I was gonna survive a few more days. Like, I didn't know I was gonna make it to 21, nevertheless 24, turning 25 next month. And I was like, I don't know if I want to have kids. And she goes, "You should start thinking about that because you'll be at serious risk. Bed rest, medications, potentially dying, losing the baby, losing both of you, all of those things." It was my birth control. My birth control was a huge factor of my blood clots, and my cardiologist had seen 5 women. I was the 5th young woman at my age that year that had that problem. And so she goes, we took you off your birth control, we took you off of everything. She goes, if you want to go on birth control, which there's obviously a reason why you wanted to be on it. If you want to be on it, there is one option for you, which we think would be good. And that was the Mirena. So I just went with the progesterone Mirena IUD. So it's the little plastic T. And so it was it was like a week later, honestly, a week or 2 later. And I went to Planned Parenthood in Manchester, New Hampshire, and I got my IUD put in. Yeah, that was a hard one. Yeah, so my body can't process or break down estrogen. Instead, it just causes problems. It causes clotting. And so there's a lot of risks now that, like, engaged to the love of my life, literally. And for the past 2.5 years, literally since the end of 2019, I have envisioned having a family of like us and like our kids. But like, there's also the fear that I might not even be able to have our kids, or that I might die, or that we both might die and he'll be left with nothing. Like, there's so many other factors now that I don't just care about myself. I know that I'm not just selfish about, like, it's my life, it doesn't matter, like, it is my life, but like, It's not just my life. So that's the long-term effects. The long-term effects are that every time I feel like my heart is racing, every time I feel like I'm shortness of breath, I'm afraid I'm having a PE. Every time I blow blood out my nose because I live in a dry freaking state, I feel like I'm having a PE. I am terrified all the time that I'm gonna wake up, that I'm gonna go to sleep and I'm not gonna wake up, because if I hadn't gone to urgent care that night, if Kate didn't bring me there and I had just waited until the next day, I wouldn't have woken up. Like, I would not have woken up. I was literally minutes away from being dead. I was hours away from being dead at home before I went to the hospital, and I could have died in my sleep because my heart would have exploded. Literally, my heart was pooling in my right ventricle and the right side of my heart, I don't even know, and it was going to literally explode, which made sense to why it felt like my heart was going to explode, because it literally was going to. And yeah. So I live every single day like it's my last day. I give a lot of myself, and it has in turn allowed people to take advantage of me because I stopped being so selfish. And so now I'm in this part of my life where I'm trying to find a balance of being selfish but not being selfish, and finding the different areas of my life in which I can be selfish. Because when I was in my coma, when I was coming out of my coma, after I kept like tapping my eyes, I just like kept like I was not in control. Like, literally, Carrie Underwood's song, Jesus Take the Wheel, literally, like, I felt like God had completely taken complete control, and I just knew that it wasn't over. And because this happened so close to my birthday, it honestly felt like a rebirthing. Like, my old self died and a new me was born. And so, like, I'm still trying to figure that out. Like, I literally feel like I'm only 4 or 5 inside this body. Like, I have no idea what I really love. I have no idea what I like to do anymore. I'm just figuring it out, because I really do feel like I died and I was born again, and I'm just like a young kid inside this adult body, and I don't know what to do. I don't know what I want to do. And all I want to do is just be happy and be at peace and not afraid and not scared and not worried. I just want peace in my life. And so that's the journey that I'm on. And that has become very relevant recently, because I've chosen myself, and I've chosen my own joy, my own peace, and I've stopped caring what other people think. And the only people that care are the ones that truly show their love and show their care to me. And don't do me wrong. So, yeah. I have felt very trapped until just recently. Everything in my life, I felt super trapped. And so now I feel like I'm breaking free of all of that, and I'm just really excited to see where it takes me, because I know that this is my second chance, and I'm here for a reason, and I wake up every day with a purpose and with a reason and with more to do. And so yeah, that's the story that I don't really talk much about. I kind of joke about it, I brush it off, because I almost died. And I do feel like I did die. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna eat the other half of this burger because I'm still super hungry. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. Please like, subscribe. If you've had similar experiences, please put it in the comments below. And yeah, I would love to hear your stories. And I'm just really grateful that this is a safe space for me to share my story. So thank you so much, you guys. Never forget, you are worth it, you are important, and you are beautiful. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you have the most amazing day, most amazing week, and I will see you next week. Peace out.